Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always excited to dig into something new.
Well, this time, we're going back in time to 1960s New York City.
Ooh, the 60s.
Yep. And we're focusing on a specific and often overlooked aspect of that era. Women's hotels.
Really? I don't think I've ever heard of a women's hotel.
Right. Most people haven't, but they were a thing.
Interesting.
Our main source for this deep dive is Women's Hotel.
Okay.
It's a fictional novel, but super detailed.
So we're getting a glimpse into that world through the eyes of the characters.
Exactly. The novel takes place at the Biedermeier,
The Biedermeier.
the name of the hotel. And it's not just a setting, it's a character in itself.
I see.
It really brings that atmosphere and social dynamics to life.
I can imagine the 60s in New York City.
Yeah, huge societal shifts happening, especially for women.
Totally.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the story, can you give us a quick rundown of what exactly a women's hotel was?
Well, picture this. Late 19th, early 20th centuries. Cities are booming. More women are moving for work, education.
Right.
But traditional expectations are still very much in place. Marriage, domesticity.
Yeah, those societal pressures.
So women's hotels emerged as a kind of in-between space.
In between.
Safer than a boarding house, which had like a negative stigma at the time.
Ah, so more respectable.
Exactly. But not as luxurious as a grand hotel, you know?
Gotcha. So they served a very specific need at a very specific time.
Precisely.
Makes you wonder why they eventually faded away, though.
It's a good question, and one the novel subtly explores. As norms shifted, women's roles expanded.
Yeah, that makes
They
sense.
didn't need that kind of protective, sometimes restrictive environment as much anymore.
So let's step into the Biedermeier itself. What's the vibe like?
Think small rooms, shared facilities?
Not exactly the Ritz, huh?
Nope. Definitely more practical than luxurious. But remember, it housed women from various backgrounds.
Each with their own story to tell.
Right. And that's what makes a novel so fascinating. It dives into their lives, their hopes, their dreams.
We get this whole cast of characters, right?
Oh, yeah. There's Mrs. Mossler, the owner, very progressive, but also,
Penny pinching?
yeah, that's one way to put it. No breakfast for the residents.
That's rough.
Then there's Catherine, the first floor director.
Okay.
She's, she's a recovering alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her journey is really powerful.
And she becomes like a leader figure for the other women.
Absolutely.
We've also got Pauline, the free spirit.
The anarchist.
Right. Rejects all those traditional expectations.
And then there's Lucienne, beautiful, ambitious.
The one who dreams of marrying rich.
Yes, but she's not one-dimensional. She loves the excitement of the city, the bohemian life.
So she's caught between those two worlds, those two paths.
Exactly.
And we've got Dolly, the openly lesbian bartender.
Who defies the norms of the time.
And then there's Ruth, the new arrival,
Who just desperately wants to fit in.
but ends up causing more trouble than anything else.
It's a recipe for some serious drama, that's for sure.
So let's dive into their stories, shall we?
Let's do it. It's amazing how each of these women, their individual stories, they really highlight the bigger picture, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like those societal anxieties, the hopes, the dreams. It's all right there.
Exactly.
Okay, so Catherine, we know she's a recovering alcoholic,
Right.
but her journey to the Biedermeier, it wasn't simple.
It wasn't at all. She actually came from a well-off family in Ohio,
Oh, it's interesting.
but they didn't really understand her addiction.
I imagine that was tough.
They thought that keeping alcohol in the house, like exposure, would help.
Wow, talk about a misunderstanding.
Yeah, their intentions were good, but obviously it backfired.
And so, what, several relapses later?
Yeah, and even some injuries. She ended up at a recovery center in Akron.
Makes sense.
And that's where she finds Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, she finds solace in helping others.
Oh, wow. So that shapes her role at the Biedermeier.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, she finds purpose in guiding others through their struggles.
Exactly.
But even with her newfound stability, her relationship with her family remains rocky,
Yeah, they're hesitant to, truly reconcile.
even after all those years of sobriety.
Sadly.
I guess it just shows how the impact of addiction, it goes beyond the individual, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about Lucienne.
Oh, Lucienne.
Ambition, love, societal expectations. It's all there.
And she's so full of contradictions, which I love.
Right.
She dreams of this rich husband, being swept away.
The classic fairy tale.
But at the same time, she loves the city, the bohemian lifestyle.
Like freedom, that energy.
Exactly.
And we see her going on all these dates.
Oh, yeah. Some good, some disastrous.
Always with that hope of finding the one.
Right.
But it's not just about money for her.
No, not
She genuinely enjoys her independence.
that intellectual stimulation, that creative energy.
So it's this inner conflict,
Yeah.
you know, traditional expectations versus personal fulfillment.
It's a struggle a lot of women face, even today.
Makes her so relatable, even though she's searching for a millionaire husband.
Right. And then you've got Dolly, who challenges those expectations even more directly.
Oh yeah, Dolly, openly lesbian in the 60s. That's a statement.
It really is. And she works as a bartender at Vernon's.
Vernon's.
It's this fascinating space. It's kind of a social barometer almost.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Like, depending on the time of day, the manager's mood.
Oh, wow.
It could be a haven for the gay community or a totally straight-laced place.
So there's that tension, that hidden world.
Absolutely. And Dolly, she's not afraid to fight back.
She's got that rebellious spirit.
Oh, yeah. The manager, Roscoe, tries to police her, her appearance, her behavior.
Tries to drive away the gay patrons even.
But Dolly, she always finds a way to subvert him, to create that space of defiance.
I love that.
It's a testament to the resilience of those marginalized communities,
For sure. And then we have Ruth,
Oh, Ruth.
a rise full of hope, but her social skills,
They're a bit less.
to say the least. She doesn't pick up on those unspoken rules.
Yeah, those social cues that most people understand.
And it leads to these, like, spectacularly awkward moments.
And misunderstandings.
And ultimately to her getting kicked out.
Sad, but true.
It's almost like, that friend who tries a little too hard,
Yeah,
but to the point of making everyone uncomfortable?
I can picture it.
She means well,
Oh, definitely.
but her actions just create chaos.
Rather than connection.
One scene that always cracks me up, though it's kind of sad too, is when she tries to style Catherine's hair.
Oh, no.
Ends in a
I can
disaster.
only imagine.
Lots of tears. But it shows that anxiety, about fitting in, about appearance,
Absolutely.
especially for someone like Ruth, who's so desperate for acceptance.
And then there's the hoarding.
Oh, right. Ruth and her stuff.
She collected everything.
It seems like it.
And not always her own stuff.
She takes things from other residents.
Filling her room with this jumble of possessions.
And the novel never explicitly diagnoses her, but it feels like,
There's something deeper going on there.
right,
Like a need for control, maybe a way of coping.
in a world that feels overwhelming.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's that discovery of her room.
Oh, that scene.
Garbage, stolen items, even dead moths.
Not just a few moths either.
Right. Like, it's overrun.
It's unsettling,
For sure.
Like it forces everyone, the other residents and us as readers,
Yeah.
to confront that darker side of shared living,
Right. Shattering that illusion of order.
revealing that potential for chaos lurking beneath.
Yeah. It's a powerful image. It's a tough situation. Like, where do you draw the line?
It really makes you think about those limits of tolerance,
And the responsibilities we have to each other.
especially in a shared space.
For sure. And even though it was necessary, kicking Ruth out,
Right.
it makes you wonder, like, how do we deal with these things?
Those mental health issues.
Exactly. Balancing individual needs with the needs of the community.
Tough questions.
No easy answers.
And it's something we're still grappling with today.
Big time. Thinking about the other characters.
Yeah.
Social mobility is a theme that keeps popping up.
Oh, definitely.
You have Lucienne aiming for that top tier through marriage,
Right.
and then Catherine searching for a different kind of stability.
Freedom from her past.
Exactly.
And even within the Biedermeier, you see those social hierarchies,
Oh, for sure.
like moving day when everyone scrambles for the slightly better rooms.
It's like that competition for a tiny bit of improvement.
Yeah, those subtle shifts that mean so much.
It's fascinating, right? How it's not always about grand leaps.
Right. Sometimes it's those small steps that feel huge.
And it's not just about possessions or status.
Oh, it's deeper than that.
Like finding that sense of belonging, that purpose.
I think it goes beyond those external markers.
So, in a way, the Biedermeier, even though it's fictional,
Yeah.
it becomes this microcosm of society itself.
Exactly. All those big dynamics, but in a more intimate setting.
Makes you realize those human experiences, those
You
complexities.
can pop up anywhere.
Wow, what a deep dive. I knew so little about women's hotels before this,
It's an often forgotten part of history.
but so relevant to today.
Right. Thinking about that balance, individual versus collective.
A question we're still asking ourselves.
Big time. And if you're intrigued, I highly recommend checking out Women's Hotel.
Oh, for sure. There's so much more to uncover,
The challenges, the triumphs, the power of community.
even with all its imperfections.
Exactly. It's a story that will stick with you.
Until next time, keep exploring those hidden corners of history.